Alright guys, how's it going? It's Rabea and I hope everyone is good today. It's been a while since I've been in the flat doing a gear review, so it's good to be back. It's a lovely sunny day in Brighton, hence the shorts. And the wonderful people at Hayden Amplification have sent me this lovely classic Lead 80. So if you're familiar with Hayden Amplification, the mastermind Dave Green is the guy that creates these lovely tones. And yeah, basically they do all sorts of different size amplifiers. I've reviewed the Mofo series before, which are a lot smaller wattage, but they really do pack a punch. And this is the highest end of Hayden's amp range, which is the classic Lead 80. 80 watts, 2-channel, hand wired in the UK. It's got 4 EL-34s, 4 ECC-83s, and it really does sound sick as fuck. The classic Lead 80 was also designed in collaboration with quite a famous guitar player who shares a similar head of hair to me. Can you guess who that might be? Quick bit about the front panel. Basically, you've got your effects send and return on the front, which I quite like. I think it's easier than leaning around the back of the head and just trying to find the send and return without being able to quite see what you're doing, especially in a gig environment. It's nice that it's right there. We've got 2 channels, and what's cool about the way this works is we've got a split EQ, so you've got your bass, middle and treble on the front, and it's shared across both channels. You've got presence, 2 master controls. One of the other cool features that's on the front of the amp is the shade control. What that does is essentially it's a low shelf, so you could plug a really thin sounding guitar in, and dialing the shade control into the right way would give it a lot more beef. So what it is, it's essentially just a 5-notch control, starting at 12 o'clock with no low end or a very mild amount of low end, and as you push it round all the way to the 5th position, it gives you really like tons of low end. So if you're using like a humbucker, you probably want it closer to 12 o'clock, using something like a Strat or a Tele or a coil tapped guitar, push it all the way around and you'll get as much low end as you need. On the back you've got 2 speaker outputs, you've got 2 8-ohm outputs and 1 16-ohm output, so it can easily handle 4x12 or 2 4x12s and really give it some. This amplifier says to me that it really wants to be cranked. 80 watts is loud, so I think this amp will really come into its own the louder you push it. So like I said, 80 watts really does pack a punch. I suppose the best way to hear an amp like this, as it's based on that sort of classic circuit, is you really want to crank this through a 412 to really hear what it can do. But as I'm sat in a residential area, in a flat, the guys downstairs will probably kick off if I turn it all the way up on full. Gains just past 12 o'clock. What's nice about this is when you really push the gain to nearly full, it gives you a really dirty crunch sound. But for now, we're going to give it just that little bit. Shade controls at 12 o'clock, so it's reasonably thin sounding, and I'll show you what it does. I'm going to push the shake control round now to roughly 9 o'clock, or 3 notches round. So you should be able to hear there's a lot more low end now. I'm going to put the shake control all the way to the 5th position, so we really should be able to hear a lot more low end in the sound. Okay, so as you can hear, there's a lot of low end in the signal, so I'm going to push it back a little bit. But I'm going to crank the gain so you can hear just how much gain you do get with channel 1. I'm also going to drop master 1, because if I do push the gain all the way in, it's going to be really loud. So here we go, push the gain all the way up and drop master 1. So yeah, plain and simple, channel 1 can be really clean, bit crunchy, completely filthy, and you've got the shake control to give you a nice sort of varied low end response. So it's really cool. Moving on to channel 2, obviously it's the higher gain channel of the two. What's nice about it though tonally is that it sounds like it sort of picks up from where channel 1 left, which is nice. You can dial in as much gain as you need and it really does sound filthy. I've got it dialed pretty much as high gain as you like. I've put the gain roughly just past 3 o'clock, haven't touched the EQ settings, and yeah, let's see what it sounds like. So that'd be channel 2 with loads of gain, and it really does have a lot of saturation, which is lovely. It's got a nice amount of sustain, so you really can put those bends in and get a lot of sustain out of that. I quite like it. It's good response as well, and in the lower strings it doesn't sort of mush up, it's not too chewy, so I do quite enjoy the tone there. I've got presence at 12 o'clock, so what's nice is it is quite a bright sounding channel, but you don't need to put loads of sort of high mid and high frequencies in to get that cut. So I do enjoy it. Again, we've got Master 2, which is what we use for the second channel. So what's nice about it is you have the control between 2 masters. Whether you want it like louder for solos or not is up to you. If we put the gain back to before 9 o'clock, you should be able to hear that it is still quite a thick crunch sound. But you can play a lot more with the dynamics of it just by how hard you pick. So. I quite like this, just having the gain before 9 o'clock, because it gives me a lot more options with my dynamics. I like to use sort of delays and reverbs a lot when I'm playing, so it allows me to sort of play softer, get that mood, but if I want to just turn the delay off and go for it, I can get that heavy rhythm tone without having to change anything or press anything on the ground, so it is nice. The shade control works just the same on the second channel as it does the first. It allows you to dial in the low end or take it away if you want to. At the minute I've got this in the second position, so if we want a really fat sludgy tone, I'm going to push the gain up and put the shade control all the way to the 5th position so you can hear just how dirty it is. What this amp says to me is it's a modern take on that sort of classic plexi style amplifier. It's got a very nice sort of smooth JCM 800 style tone, and it's so easy to use because you've got a shared EQ and it's just 2-channel. It's nice having that low end response at your fingertips by just messing around with the shade control, and I find that the idea of having the effects loop on the front really useful. As I said before, I think this amplifier plugged into a 412 and cranked will really sound quite incredible. I'm really impressed with it being the master volumes at like before 9 o'clock and it still sounds awesome. So I can only imagine how sick it sounds when you put it through a 412 and really give it some welly. Again, this is the Hayden 212, it's a nice sounding cab. I do think if we're shifting more cones, it probably will give us a little bit more tonal variation, but it's nice that it can be so compact as well. The price point for the CL-80 or the Classic Lead 80 is roughly $15.99, depending on where you find it in the country, what retailers you can find them at. But it really is a good amplifier. It's made in the UK, hand wired, and there's a lot of care and attention gone into this amplifier. So, and you can certainly hear that when you're playing it. So there it is, Classic Lead 80 from Hayden Amps. I really do like Hayden amplifiers. I think Dave Green does a great job of voicing them. I do like the fact they're made in the UK and they're hand wired, and I do recommend trying some out. This is very top of the range, like I said before, $15.99 roughly the retail price of one of these. Again, I've tried all the other Hayden products and I do think they sound great, whether you use the Mofo, the mini Mofo, or the actual Mofo itself, or even go for one of these bad boys. But yeah, thumbs up from me. I reckon you should go and try one out, give it some welly, crank it right up, and enjoy that British tone. So until next time, I've been Rabea, and I'll see you soon.